I'd like to call the April 20th, 2021 Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order. It is 9 a.m. and I just took down my mask because I do have sneeze guards here, and we are appropriate. Thank you, Mr. Kosher and Ms. Romine. Pledge of Allegiance, Deputy Clerk Treasurer Lehman.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion for approval of minutes?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Public comment in person, via social media. I see or hear nothing, so we will move to Deputy Clerk Treasurer Lehman, claims approval.
We have civil city claims in the amount of $973,278.49. That does include our April health insurance and the annual liability and workers' comp insurance. Good news on both of those. The liability insurance went up 8%, but workers' comp only went up 2%, so that's good from previous years.
Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the city claims.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Just was there any particular reason for the liability claims going up 8%?
No, it's
That
just.
drove that?
Yeah, we normally budget like a 10% increase.
Oh, it's okay.
So it was under what we thought it would be, so.
Okay, thank
still
you.
good.
Ms. Lehman, I'm sorry, how much did you say?
$973,278.49.
Okay.
Is that what you have?
Oh, okay.
Do you have?
Is that the one with the council vehicles on it?
Originally was $1,046,426.
That's not what I have. Hold on.
That's the copy I have as well.
No,
Let's see what I got here.
it's 973,278.49.
Oops, excuse me.
This was for April 6th. That's April 6th.
Yeah,
This
yours
is
is over
April
a million.
20th.
Mine is. What is yours?
Mine is
Sorry,
as
I'm
well.
sorry.
No, you're fine. All right. Which one do you show?
Yeah, I show the million.
Yeah, so if you look up above, that was for April 6th. That's what you approved the last time. Would you like to look at the claim docket?
Is that right?
We can come back to this one, yes.
Oops, right.
Ladies first.
Thanks. Sorry, Joni.
That's okay.
So we have a motion and a second. Nick, can we hold that motion and move on, or do we need to?
I'd make a motion, if you're not gonna act on it, make a motion to table it.
I'll make a motion that we table it.
Until later in this meeting?
Right, and at any time, you can bring it back up by motion to take it off the table.
Perfect.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to table. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, well, let's try this one. We have the April 16th payroll for $419,736.70.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I move we approve the payroll.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
We have wastewater claims in the amount of $483,396.55. That does include the pay request number 3 for Selge for the Lakeside Sewer relocation.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion passes 3-0.
And we have Board of Works. We're at Board of Works. We have water claims for $197,411.85.
I move we approve the water claims.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Let's go ahead and move on to Muni League training.
Yes, the clerk treasurer has scheduled training with MuniLink, which is our software for our utility department. With COVID last year and having short staffs, we alternated those that worked from home and in the office. We really haven't had a chance to do in-depth training for them for this system. They are all new in their positions. They all started at the end of 2019. So she's requesting that that the board authorize her to close the utility office on May 5th and 6th from, I believe, 10:15 to 2:45, both those days.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? And again, for the public record, Joni, Ms. Lehman, if you could just, Muni League training will involve,
They're gonna go in depth on everything. It's how to set up counts, how to run reports, how to look at the meters, everything that penalties, billing, anything and everything that it's capable of doing, so.
related to water and sewer bills.
Yeah, it's the utility bills.
Further discussion? We do have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. CBIZ proposal.
CBIZ does our fixed assets for us every year. It's part of our annual report that we have to have for the state of Indiana. Every 5 years, we have them come physically and go from department to department, make sure everything is still up to date. They take our current, make sure everything is still there, or if we've gotten rid of something and we haven't deleted it, they'll do all that. It takes about 2 days for them to do this. We do, like I said, about every 5 years. So this will be the second time that they will have come after the initial one. So we've been with them for 10 years. So that we're just asking for approval to go ahead with and authorize the clerk treasurer to sign the contract.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion?
Do we tag or put any type of identifier on each of the assets that then relates and goes back to the software for identification purposes? So
Right.
they're gonna do an inventory, update it, and everything for fixed assets is kept on their software?
Right,
Got it.
yes.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
I have one more thing that's not on your agenda. Every year around this time, it's necessary for the city to do temporary loans to our police and fire pensions. These are reimbursable from the state, so we pay up front and they reimburse us. We don't get our reimbursements until June and September, and right now our cash balances will be too low. So I'm requesting your permission to do a temporary loan for $175,000 to the fire pension from CEDAT and $100,000 for police pension from CEDAT. And then when we receive those monies in June, we will pay that back.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. So Joni, this is the issue we've talked about in the past where
Yes.
the state is slow to
Well, I believe it was back in 2004. The state decided, we used to have a tax rate on police and fire pensions. The state decided to take those over. But doing that, it's reimbursable. So you still have to pay for it up front. And these are our pensioners that have retired from either police or fire that we are obligated to pay. And because it's reimbursable, we're going to eventually run out of money because we don't get the draw until June. So, yeah, it's not a problem in the fall because we get our draw in September. And it's based on what you spent the previous year. So we have to do an annual report to InPers every January and list what we paid for each pensioner, and then they turn around and reimburse us that dollar amount, but we don't get our first draw until June, so.
Is it typical that we're short at this time of the year?
Yeah, it's usually
So
right
this is
around
an
April.
annual thing?
Mhm.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
just a timing difference?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And it doesn't hurt us though, and seed it to use it
No,
for
we
something
use,
else.
yeah, we use seed it because we have the cash available in the seed it fund to do that.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. And stay tuned, I have a feeling we'll be bringing one of the claims back.
Okay, I hope
for
so, because we
approval.
need to pay those.
Let's move to department head brief to the point reports. And we'll begin with Chief Breton. I don't know if the snow, if the snow causes it, but everybody looks just kind of not excited to be here today.
It's almost May and it's snowing, man.
Yeah, I know.
Good morning. I just wanted to bring up the retirement of Corporal Carl Jackson after 30 years. His last day was Saturday. And then with the board's approval at the last meeting, I did do a promotion. Corporal Justin Dyer, he's a 6-year veteran with the department, currently on afternoon shift. And the only other thing, I know everybody's talking about the car thefts at LaPorte Chrysler. It's a multi-jurisdictional investigation. Sergeant Ferguson's doing an outstanding job working on that, and they are making forward progress, so.
And Chief, it's not just the city of LaPorte that has been, had vehicles stolen. So I know there's myths and superstitions, but this has been going on across many counties, correct?
Right. In fact, the Facebook posts are saying we're in cahoots with LaPorte Chrysler. But this has been across northwest Indiana and the southern suburbs of Chicago. These cars are they're sought after, and we had a lookout on it about 10 days ago, and unfortunately they hit LaPorte. And ironically, 29 minutes before that, one of our officers was walking the lot. And it's probably a good thing he didn't confront them. These guys were all armed. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Questions? Jeff Batchelor, Code Enforcement.
Morning. Not too much to report. We're right around 1,500 violations for the month so far, or for the year. And then also, we changed a little bit on the dumpster program. One of the dumpsters that's at the street department, we put it behind the fence, so they're open from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. so that that one can't be overfilled. The other one is on camera, so the street department's been very handy in helping us smash it down so that we're not having the problems that we've been having.
Jeff, is there a camera on at the water department for the, I'll use the term individuals is the best term I can come with, that are dropping couches and mattresses without a container there to put them in over the weekends?
Yeah, we're checking on that. There was somebody that put a mattress and some other stuff there, so we're checking to see if we can get a license plate on it, because there was not even a dumpster there and somebody still put stuff out there. The good part of it with it is the public, the people on Facebook are actually posting pictures of it and saying negative stuff about the people that's doing stuff. So they're in support of it. People are standing up for the dumpster program and saying, look, if we're not going to take and do this, they're going to take it away. So, you know, we are getting a lot of support from the citizens.
And I think just to put it out there, there's a place in Kingsbury that you can take that type of product to if the dumpsters aren't out over the weekend.
Yeah, I don't know if they're open on the weekend, but I don't think they are. But there is a place out there. Waste Management has where you can go drop it off. You can call and make an appointment. They can come pick it up, and you can pay a price if you don't want to follow our rules.
But good luck catching the individuals that are dropping that as well, so. And then the other part is the signs.
Coming up soon too.
Signs, you're starting to work now that we have a signs ordinance passed to go after those signs that are just sitting out on Lincoln Way
Yeah,
and
I
haven't
just
been
got the
addressed.
ordinance. I'm reading it to get caught up to date on it. That's going to be a focus in the next week or so.
For the dumpster program, someone, if you get capture on video somebody dropping things off or, overloading, around it, or the water department, are you able to issue a citation on that? Okay.
Yeah, we
all
got
right.
we got a form that we can fine them for.
It's pretty hefty, isn't it, the fine?
$100 fine.
Oh, I was thinking it was more. That must just be for the park department's dumpsters or
Like,
trash
it's one of those
receptacles.
things that it's progression, so if they would do it again, then you can go to the next step and the next step,
Right.
you know, but that's not our goal. You know, we just want them to take and follow the rules.
But city cleanup is coming up in less than a month as well, correct?
Yeah,
So
one of the
that'll be
things-
helpful for people who aren't able to maybe transport to the dumpsters.
One of the things, like, cause it's the second week of May, so I won't put the dumpsters out because it's kind of a waste for
Counterintuitive.
that. So they can take and do all their stuff, put it out by the road, you know, then we're working together and then I can bring the dumpsters back the next week.
But if you do put, during city cleanup, put furniture out, I believe you have to have it wrapped.
Wrapped.
That's true.
Anything upholstered has to be wrapped or else they won't take it due to COVID.
Right.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Nick Minnick, Engineering.
Our contractors are starting to kind of finish up all the paving from last year, so that's mostly McCullum, Woodward, and Chestnut, and then there's a lot of sidewalk work and some concrete work associated with that. We've got a little more paving coming up later this year. We are ready to submit our final tracings for our federal aid paving program, and I will ask the board to sign that shortly. So, that's all I have.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Questions for engineering?
It goes into HDMI 1. I'll do that. You get
No,
That's right.
no big deal.
It's gonna be a short meeting.
We wouldn't sign it till we're done, right?
So while we're waiting, I'll move out of department reports, and I do have civil city claims. Of the corrected amount is $973,278.49. We've all had a chance to review this. I would like to bring the motion and the second back. Do I have a motion to approve that?
You're taking
You
it
took
off the table,
We
correct?
need a
Take it
motion.
off, a motion to approve taking it off the table, correct?
Are you making that, I'll make
I'll
that.
make that.
Oh, okay, all
I'll
right, I'll
make that
second.
motion. So I have a motion and a second discussion. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
So it's off the table, so now there needs to be another
Now there
vote.
needs to be a motion to approve.
So I move we approve the civil city claims, right? That was civic, yeah.
And for how much?
We're, get the exact amount, yeah. $973,278.49.
Second.
I have a motion and a second discussion.
Didn't even need reading glasses.
Hearing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that.
So we will now move to Michael Frey's Street Department.
We're gonna be doing some patching, total patching this week. And, some tree cutting.
And stumps,
Possibly removing snow.
moving snow is not an option. It's April, Mike. Questions? Jerry Jackson, wastewater.
The plans for Monroe Manor are available out on Evan Marsh's website. We'll get the bids on 4/30, and they'll be in front of the Board of Works on May 4th. EJ White has finished all the mechanical part of our digester mixing project. There's still some electrical work, and I'll bring in bids for that here shortly. But the EJ White did a nice job. We found some issues, but they took care of them, and they did good work. Our phosphorus removal project, Nice is here today doing some testing, and they gave me a set of preliminary plans, so we're on board to have our application in item for construction permit by the end of the month. Oh, and did I mention it's Ashton Jackson Day? Important day. That's all I got.
Yes, and it was pretty neat to see one state champion award and acknowledge another here last night at the city council. So, Jerry, I think you were as excited or more excited than Ashton might have been. And that's
That
cool.
was really fun. That was, to having all those folks there, that was great.
Absolutely. Tim Warner, Water.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning to everybody. The water department has been working on chasing down the fiber project that's going through town, just making sure to protect our infrastructure as they're moving through neighborhoods. We're all excited to have the inspector on board here, hopefully soon. I do want to announce that we will be starting our spring flushing program starting May 9th. It'll last between 2 and 3 weeks. The crews will be out from 8 p.m. till 5 a.m. flushing all the hydrants, making sure that they're all in working order and helping flush out some of the sediment that's suspended in the system. Other than that, we're waiting on some final plans for some dead-end main tie-ins that we will be working on, part of our dead-end main projects that will be going full force this summer. And we have about 2 more weeks left, and we'll have Mark Williams, operator for us for about 26 years, will be retiring. And at the end of next month, we have Mark Rose, after 30 years, will be retiring. Both those positions have been filled. The guys that are replacing them are fully trained, and we have full confidence in their duties. That's all I have this morning. Thank you.
Tim, what can the residents of Porte expect during the spring flushing?
Spring flushing, they're going to see some water on the roads at night. When you wake up in the morning, you might have some slightly discolored water. The best thing to do is to run the cold water until that clears up. Try not to do any laundry at night. That way that rusty water doesn't make it into their washers. If that does happen, they can contact the water department. We do have rust out or iron out that we do supply to city residents for free. Basically, they just add it in with their washer to rewash the clothes, and the iron out with it will remove any staining. They can contact us at 326-9540. We have someone on site 24 hours a day.
Further questions?
How long do you think that will take? You said it starts May 9th.
Yeah, it's hard to put a direct timeline on that. I'm gonna say between 2 to 4 weeks, probably somewhere in the 3-week mark. The system tells us when we're done. We let the hydrants run until they clear up, and all the scoring inside the pipes are done. Sometimes it takes a while, sometimes it clears up fairly quick. The important thing is to stay on it until everything clears up. So like I said, we kind of let the system be the judge of that. So I would say 3 to 4 weeks.
Further
Like I
questions?
said, we do that at night to minimize the disruption to the customers of the city.
Beth West, Transport.
Morning. Transport ended their first quarter with over 7,000 riders, which we're very excited about. Our numbers are up considerably since last year. We are currently at about 1,900 rides for the month of April, which is a good thing. Our security cameras were installed last week by ERS. We're expecting training in the next couple of weeks by the company so we can monitor and figure out how to pull feed if we need to for events. Our radios are working great that we also purchased with our CARES Act money, and our GPS systems have been installed. We're still working out some bugs on the buses, but the system in the office is working great. The last big item that we're waiting for is our generator, which probably won't be installed until July sometime. And then our new buses, which will probably be here hopefully by the end of the year, beginning of next year. And that's it.
Tom Casey, Plan.
Thanks, Mayor.
just briefly, I'm catching up on some backed up administrative duties. In addition to that, last Thursday, we had our kickoff meeting for the quiet zone, so that's underway. Patrick Engineering is doing the study that will take about 60 days to determine whether or not we can get the Norfolk Southern not to have to use their trains, their horns as they go through town, which would be a big improvement for all of us. So we'll know at the end of June on that. Overall, it looks good based on the first meeting. Lastly, on Friday, we have a kickoff meeting for the Boyd Boulevard Sewer Separation Project EDA grant, which I had talked about a few Board of Works meetings ago. SEH will be helping us apply for that grant, those grant funds, which will be a substantial help to get that project going. So that's all I have for this week.
Oh, Tom, so regarding the quiet zone, what are the chances that the study will come back and that we can have the quiet zone without needing to invest anything in additional sort of security measures?
So there's a couple components that come into play. They're going to take a look at what crossings we're going to close. So with Tipton and Detroit and Pulaski, and how those will be viewed, whether or not we can get credit now for the fact that these will be done. We're going to have to show some additional backup on the Tipton overpass funds that we have, prepare a timeline based on that. We're also now looking at the accident reports, how many people have been, how many accidents there have been or deaths there have been at these, all of the crossings that we have in town. All of that kind of goes into a rating system. And based on that rating system, then there's safety guidelines that we have to take. So the chances of us not having to do anything and just get a quiet zone are probably pretty slim, Mark. But there are a lot of things that we can do proactively to get there. And they're as simple as having more police patrols in the respective area where where a risky crossing would be. One of the things our engineer that is doing the study mentioned is that at all of our crossings, we're going to have to likely put up bollards, plastic bollards that will prevent cars from going around the crossing. So those would be right in the middle of the crossing to prevent anyone from crossing over into the opposite lane of traffic and going around the gates. That's something that's standard. So at first glance, those are just a couple of things that he mentioned to me in that meeting, but we're going to know a lot more in the next 30 days, and then 60 days we'll have this final report, and I'm happy to present that to Board of Works when we know. So based on that final report, there'll be discussions with the Norfolk Southern and the Safety Board on what our rating is and what they require for us to get to the level of an actual quiet zone. So there will be some investment. It just depends on what our rating ends up being based on the analysis.
All right, thank you.
Jen Knoll, Human Resources.
Good morning. We are partnering with our insurance broker to launch an ergonomics pilot program with the Parks Department, so looking forward to that. And then we have the April Diversity and Inclusion Committee meeting this Thursday at 5 p.m. here at Council Chambers. That's open to the public for anyone who would like to attend. And then, as always, open positions are posted online, cityoflaporte.com and also on Indeed. So we've got a full-time position available, a couple of year-round part-time positions, and then also seasonal positions on there. So if interested, apply online. Thank you.
Mark Schreiber, Park Department.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to quickly highlight a few programs that we have coming up, some events. This Saturday from 10 o'clock till noon, we're having a weed wrangle in Soldier Memorial Park. That's where there'll be some information on invasive species and actually go out and physically pull some garlic mustard out of the woods there. Great opportunity for people to contribute to the ecology of our parks. That's being led by the LaPorte County Soil and Water Conservation District. Also, on May 1st is the annual Tree Commission Arbor Day Tree Giveaway. That's happening at Kessling Park at 8 a.m. quite a few species available for the public to choose from. And then also on May 1st, we'll be holding a Mother's Day children's class that's in collaboration with Parties on the Go, and they'll be creating a nice rock garden for Mom for Mother's Day. So some fun stuff coming up, and all that information can be found on our website, cityoflaporte.com, but also on our Facebook page.
Thank you. And then also, before Bert Cook with Economic Development, LEAP goes, I would just like to say I'm amazed at how much activity has been going on economic development wise in the city of LaPorte. Great job to you and your team, Bert.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Good morning to the Board of Public Works. We were able to the mayor's point, we were able to celebrate late last week with EPAC, who is recently completing a 30,000 square foot expansion of their facility out on 39. It's a really unique project. I'd like to congratulate Tony Rodriguez, my counterpart at Porte County, for landing this. The interesting part about the project is that the property actually is in the county. However, in order for this project to be a reality, the city, specifically our airport, had to sell EPAC a small portion of property in order to allow them the space needed to facilitate the expansion. So I'd like to credit the mayor and thank him for his very regional partnership based philosophy or strategy. That perspective from the city, I think, is appreciated by our county and should be is very welcome in the world that I work in often. So appreciate that from the mayor and the airport. Ed Volk was heavily involved as well, and that's a great resource for our community. So we were able to celebrate with EPAC. They're significantly expanding their facility and creating additional jobs for many residents of the city of LaPorte and LaPorte County. So happy to share that with the Board of Public Works this morning, and look forward to many more groundbreakings kind of in the coming days here.
And we are on a streak here. I think we're at 4 weeks in a row, a groundbreaking, and I'm sure you won't. It's only Tuesday, so we still have some days for this week to keep it going.
Well, Mayor, it's actually 6, but we'll. I think that they're coming so fast and furious at this point that it's easy to forget some of those every now and then.
Well, we do have Popeyes. We haven't broke ribbon yet or ground and get a sandwich at lunch in between, so keep that out there.
Absolutely, I understand it's very popular already.
Questions? Andy Snyder, Fire Department.
Thank you, Mayor.
Andy, I'm sorry. I think we have some technical difficulty with your.
One is that our academy just completed her 6th week, and they.
Andy, can you hear us? Andy, can you hear us?
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Just wanted to pass along that our recruits just finished up their 6th week in the academy. They will be graduating on May 28th. And the second note is that one of our newer engines has had some issues with the paint on it and will be out of service for 2 weeks in St. Louis. Matter of fact,
Andy,
we're taking it to right now, so that's pretty much.
Thank you. Further questions or further, I think we've covered all of the department heads. Further questions from the board? Those of you that do not have business before Board of Works, enjoy your cold, snowy day. And we will move on. New business, Arbor Day proclamation. I do have a proclamation before me, before us, and as well, we have our sustainability engineer here to talk a little bit further about that. But if I may read this. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore I, Thomas P. Dermody, Mayor of the City of LaPorte, do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2021 as Arbor Day in the City of LaPorte and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts of the City of LaPorte Tree Commission to protect our trees. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of present and future generations. In testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the great seal of the City of LaPorte on this 20th day of April 2021, Thomas P. Dermody, Mayor. So what we're finding is the growth of our community. We want to be 30 by 30, 30,000 people by 2030, and how valuable our sustainability engineer is as a part of the development that will draw people here. And Sarah Nimitz, if you don't mind coming up and sharing your thoughts.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor. That was like a spiritual moment for me. That really was great. I just wanted to further sort of emphasize that the importance of us making this Arbor Day proclamation are one of the key components of us becoming a tree city. The City of LaPorte was a tree city for a long period of time, but it's an ongoing program, so we have to continually maintain and keep up our status, and this is one of the ways that we're doing that. Additionally, it reinforces our commitment to a healthy canopy, and it's a really good opportunity for us to educate the community and just reinforce how important our canopy is. We have the tree giveaway, like Mark mentioned, at Kesling on the 1st. It makes more sense to do it on a Saturday, so it'll be the day after Arbor Day, but those trees that we're giving away can be planted anywhere. Anybody can have them. The benefits of trees, as you mentioned in the proclamation, just need to be widespread. So we're not restricting people from planting them in or out of city limits. It'll benefit everybody. So yeah, the components of becoming a tree city include having a tree ordinance, which you guys know we do, a tree commission, which we have a fantastic tree commission, and then our urban forestry program with a per capita budget of $2 per person. So this is the last of that criteria. So once at the end of the year, we'll kind of put all that stuff together and send it in and become a tree city again. So are there questions?
Well, I just like, if you could address, because so many people for years believe we are the maple tree city, and why we're getting away from that. And can you just touch on that and why we're more a diverse tree?
So there are a lot of reasons to not only plant one species. Maples are wonderful trees. They grow really fast, so people like to have them as street trees, but they grow really fast, so they disrupt infrastructure. Their root systems interfere with sidewalks and roads. They die and then drop limbs. The way they die is sort of, it's different than maybe an oak. You know, if an oak dies, you'll see the dieback, but with a maple, sometimes it'll drop limbs very quickly and you have to address it very quickly, and we're experiencing that now where we had a lot of maples planted at once a long time ago and they're reaching the end of that useful life. They're dropping a lot of limbs, so we're mitigating a lot of that. And one of the good ways that we can do that is just by diversifying our species. Additionally, if a species-specific pest were to come through, like the emerald ash borer or Dutch elm disease, we're not risking losing our entire canopy from one disease. So we're trying to have a good species variety in our street trees and in people's yards. We're trying to have more native species versus horticultural varieties because they do better and they require less maintenance and they have stronger root systems that help with erosion. And so I think that's part of the importance of Arbor Day again, is because it opens us up to have those conversations and really just support people who care about trees in a way to encourage them to do things properly.
And it's a reminder why we've missed having, Sarah's basically an arborist, and why we've missed having someone of this stature on our team. I mean, can you explain a little bit about the downtown trees? I've learned that we have some issues that have to be addressed as well.
So we have those beautiful white flowering trees. They're called Callery pear, which is a type of Bradford pear. They were really popular in the late 80s and early 90s as street trees. Again, they grow very fast. They're beautiful. They don't smell fantastic. So if you're kind of downwind from them and you catch a whiff, it's not the most pleasant smell. We've learned since then, and when we know better, we try to do better, that these specific species of trees overtake natural areas very quickly. The seeds escape quickly, so maybe a bird will carry a seed, that seed will be planted in droppings, and then that species takes over a natural area very quickly. They're also stubborn and hard to kill, so we can cut it down, but it will shoot very quickly from the stump, which is frustrating. They're not good trees. It's a frustrating problem because every city is facing that. They grow well, but they're not very structurally sound. They're prone to failing pretty quickly. So as soon as it dies, you want to remove it. And in our downtown area specifically, we have a ton of them, which is beautiful as you're looking down the street, but they're not as easy to remove because we're in these tree pits that have electricity running through them. So we just have to be strategic. You know, we don't want to just clear cut a bunch of trees because trees still have benefits. So we're just going to strategically try to remove and replace. We don't want no trees downtown. So we're working on different ways to maybe block by block address them and have as little impact as possible on the functioning of downtown as well. So this is something that every community who planted these trees is dealing with right now. So I think we have a strong network and a lot of support and a lot of education available to us in research on the right ways to deal with them. So it's important that we remove them, remove the stumps, and plant something else in their place. I feel personal about that, so we'll get it.
And I think it's good that we're challenging the way we've always done things. And that includes the downtown flowers as well, looking at natives versus annuals, not to get off our trees, but just to give the public, the businesses forewarning that, hey, we're reevaluating everything we've done in the past and maybe looking at a new way now that we have somebody that has that experience and understanding a new way to do things.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I've kind of experienced that, having planted literally dozens of those pears and many years ago in some properties, and to understand a lot of, and they're really beautiful in the spring, right, when they flower. So what do you think is a good species to eventually supplant, these pears?
You know, I think that there are a lot of native ornamentals. If flowering trees is what you really want, there are flowering dogwoods, there are red buds, they're beautiful street trees. There are various crab apples you could put in. I think what's most important when you're selecting an alternate species is where you're putting it. So be cognizant of power lines and soil type and the amount of water and maintenance that you're willing to give it. That's another good thing about those pear trees, is wherever you want them, they'll grow. So just assessing your area for what you want to replace it with beforehand is important. But I mean, a good oak is, I'm wearing my acorn shirt today, like a good oak you can't beat. They're straight, they are easy to prune, and you can see under them, you have a good line of sight. Or even like a nice maple if you want like the colorful foliage. It's just about diversifying species, I think. That's what's most important.
Are we giving out all native trees for Arbor Day?
Yeah,
How many different?
I think we got 500 total trees and I think 5 different species. We got them from the DNR Forestry Tree Nursery, so they're all native. I know we have American plum, Shumard, which is also a good flowering tree, Shumard oak, tulip tree, which is the state tree. And then I think 2 other, like maybe persimmon and something else flowery and pretty, a redbud. Those are like, people really like those.
People, yeah. Nice.
And then the other part is using Sarah as our sustainability professional to work with when we're making deals downtown, real estate developments and so forth, to including her in the sustainability portion of that to make sure, our partners are doing their part from a sustainability perspective. So
Does that lead into the landscape architecture then that we're also doing? So Tom Casey spoke to that, and having, I think another group kind of go in and make sure that so you'll be in
Helping with
on that
that.
as well, to make sure that it.
Yeah, we want to make sure we're offsetting our impacts on development. So we're balancing our development with our natural resources and the impacts. So yeah, with landscape plans and things like that, I'll be participating in the review, but also being in the field and making sure like trees are being planted properly. It's disappointing when you plant a tree and you have all that inertia and then it's not planted properly. So that little bit of oversight will go a long way, I think. And that's my favorite stuff to do, so I'm happy to be out there talking trees with people, getting dirty.
and 2 of us approved that contract for Newport Landing.
That's correct.
Somebody else was in Hawaii. But 2 of us approved that, and what we've learned, and we do not have to spend that money, only if we use that contract, but we have somebody right here that is also a landscape architect, correct? I mean, is the official term, or a landscape?
Well, my experience is with the DNR, so I have more experience with native plantings and water quality and.
Landscape architecture is a little bit different in that it has to do a lot more with the design of things, and you get into a lot more of all of the different levels of topiaries, annuals, perennials, et cetera, so that something's always blooming or of interest throughout the year. I think what Sarah's role though is to make sure, like she said, that there's economic stability along with the ecological sustainability.
I want them to be considering native plantings more than those horticultural varieties for the sake of longer roots and better water quality, filtration, and lower maintenance. That's really important. As a huge municipality, we can't have all these plantings that we can't maintain because they're a fancy lily or something. So
right.
Like just reviewing those and making sound suggestions for what's the most ecologically responsible, I think is going to make a big impact. So that's exactly what you were saying. I'm just agreeing.
Perfect. Any further questions? Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks.
She's lovely.
Request for use, YMCA Tour de LaPorte. Nick Otis, anything you want to add? I don't think anybody from the Y is here, but this would be for August 21st, 2021, for the hours of 6 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on Saturday for their Tour de LaPorte. Do I have a motion?
So it's for the
go
run
ahead.
and bike? It's for both?
Yep,
That
why don't you
same
make a
day?
motion and we can discuss, yep.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
So
There-
it
Go ahead.
looks like it's just for the run though, but I think for the bike, there's no,
And bike
It's got a
event.
Street
bike
closures
event
though,
on
right?
there, too.
there's no street closures or anything for the biking, right?
Bike's on Sunday, so the run is on Saturday,
Because
usually.
I saw, I mean, I thought the same thing at first, but then I recalled.
Oh, okay,
that
because it
there's no
does say
street
run and
closures or
bike
anything.
event. I thought maybe they were trying to squeeze everything into one day this time.
No.
No? Okay. Well, that's good.
So,
It's a lot.
same event, obviously, is what the Healthcare Foundation, they took it over, and obviously because of COVID, it was canceled, so last year. So this will be the first actual year, I believe, that the Y hosts the event, so.
Okay. It's
I
a
have a
great
mo-
event. It brings in a ton of people from outside of LaPorte.
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Ticket of,
I heard Tom Casey's planning to ride the 100-mile route with Jerry this year, so that'll be a good event.
representing the city of LaPorte. We're gonna have to throw Mr. Kosher in there as well.
I'm in.
Is
you
Jerry
go.
speaking of himself in the third person?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like a Seinfeld episode. Annette Leffler, Ticket Appeals.
So, our violations department, wrote 5 tickets on the morning of, April 14th, and, these tickets were over parked in a 2-hour parking area. So, I mean, the tickets are valid tickets, except for, these people had been displaced by NIPSCO, and we were unaware of it. So I'm asking the board to void these tickets as the county employees had no place else to park.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Is NIPSCO, is that taken care of, or is it done, or?
It was done as of Monday morning.
Okay, wonderful.
Further discussion?
Mayor, I'll point out, I know the library is doing a pretty significant construction project, and I think the same thing is going to happen pretty shortly, and I've advised the library to coordinate with Annette to make sure that those affected people don't have that same problem.
They're going to let me know how many passes they need so that we can get passes to people who are going to be displaced from their parking spots, so that this won't happen. They'll have a temporary parking pass to use the street parking.
Perfect.
That's how we're going to work that out.
What time frame will that be?
So that's on the building behind your office, Jessica. I
Yeah,
think
I've been displaced for a long time.
Yeah, I think within the next few weeks. I think they're putting in a transformer generator, I believe, with the project. So.
Yeah, the parking pass request is coming from the owners of the Rumley property, because
Okay.
some of their residents, who I believe pay extra to have a parking space, are going to be displaced for a couple days while NIPSCO installs something. I'm not sure what they're installing, but it has to do with the library project.
I thought the project was supposed to be completed by the end of this month altogether. Is
Right,
that
I
true?
think it's happening very quickly.
Okay.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Annette. Rural King hold harmless agreement for FEMA vaccination site.
Mayor, I can handle this.
Yes.
Board of Works, this is an after-effect approval, which we generally don't like to do, but this was in support of the mass vaccination event at the Rural King Shopping Center. Rural King asked for a hold harmless agreement. I reviewed it, we made some changes, and we're asking for approval. There's already been 1 week of vaccinations, and then they'll come back in May to administer the second vaccine.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. I would just like to say, and Mr. Otis and I pointed out yesterday, this was really, it could always be better, but it was a great success. Over 1,400 people were vaccinated in the first drive up, where you only needed to supply your name, date of birth, no confirming identification, and it was the Pfizer vaccine. And thanks to Annette Leffler, who really led the charge here, worked with the state and FEMA to make sure everything ran smooth. And I think most everybody that was involved or received their shot felt like it was easy to do, drive up, walk up, and we're not done yet by a long nature. We need to vaccinate many more in our community.
But that's shot 1 of 2?
Correct.
Correct.
So does that mean the May date is for the second shot? or-
Correct, yep.
Okay, so
And-
they're able to get them a little faster then.
And possibly for a first shot, I believe, if need be. And that's correct, right? They could possibly also get their first shot.
But they will have to
Make arrangements.
arrangements are made for the second shot, but they can receive a first shot at the next round.
And by the way, if you would like a shot, we do have shots available. We receive calls from retailers, the county, HealthLink, when they have an open vial and need arms. Call, we can get you there. You can call 362-0151, private message me on Facebook. But the only way we're going to get through this are to get people vaccinated, and we seem to have a struggle with white males professionals in their 40s. Mr. Otis has kind of set the standard by getting it done to help these others.
I'm not in my 40s for the record.
Late 30s. And we just are encouraging everybody that if you're interested, we can get a quick turnaround for you, get you right in and get you right out. But we see what's happening in the state of Michigan. We're right along the border there, and our numbers are going up quickly. And I think we've only had roughly 25% of the county vaccinated. So whatever you can do, hopefully the Johnson & Johnson will be back available by the end of this week, sometime next. And they should have an announcement soon, but we're here to help. I know that's scary when we say, hey, we're government, then we're here to help, but please don't hesitate to call us. Further comment?
Nick, so with this going in arrears, which I agree with you, kind of, don't really like to do that. Has there been any indication that there's any kind of a problem, or
No.
by doing it? I mean, is the legal protection by doing this after the fact as solid as having done in
I
advance?
would say it is. And from my perspective, again, the city wasn't the one administering the vaccine. I think if there was I'm thinking more of like a car accident or a rear end collision or something like that. So I see our liability as being pretty low here. We're be covered by insurance if there was a claim.
Okay.
So,
But as well, I think in a net, the federal government.
Federal government is ultimately responsible, and they said that we would be covered by their indemnity. Is that the right word?
yes.
Is this likely to happen again throughout the summer or this year?
We sure hope so, because we're the only county in the orange. We tried having FEMA and the state stay an extra week. Unfortunately, they were already, they're booked, they have plans. But again, you see what's happening in our community, in the county. So we have to continue to make availability wherever we can. We're also talking about going direct to the manufacturers, large manufacturers, and possibly doing on site. I think we also have to look at the apartment complexes, maybe doing something on site there as well. I know J&J, the Johnson & Johnson, had an issue of 7 people out of 7 million. I think they're going to come back available here pretty soon. But we have to get out with the public and have this as easy as possible to get through this. So I think you'll hear more about that.
Did FEMA reach out to us for this?
Dr. Box, the state health director, did. And
Okay.
we have a high percentage of Hispanic population, and we wanted people to feel safe, and they wanted to make sure the Hispanic population knew that this was there. And as well, again, there's concerns for people, documented, undocumented, and we just want those in our community to know, do this and you're protected. So I do have a motion and a second. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Nick Otis, agreement for photo and video services.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Bruder asked that I cover this today. She could not be here. This is for her department. This is an agreement with Sarah Solutions for some photos and video services that will be available to the city. Mayor, as I understand it, Sarah Solutions did the video that you were recently in for the Healthcare Foundation that looked very sharp, and we felt like if they could make you look that sharp, that maybe we could do another project with them. But Jess is asking for approval. This is up to $7,500. $5,000 comes from her budget, $2,500 from Tom Casey's grant funds from the UEA.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. And again, I will tell you that Sarah Solutions did a great job. We have Doolin Media right here. For all you businesses and the public, especially as we go through this pandemic and to get the word out, but to also help businesses, we're fortunate to have all the quality of young people. Is that fair to say, Tim, young people? All right, young people in our community that can put the word out, and we appreciate everybody being involved. So I do have a motion and a second for the,
Are these for the website, or what are the photos?
These
and
are gonna be
videos
used for a variety of things, so we will own these images, and Jess plans to use them for a variety of marketing things. I think website is certainly one of them.
Okay, thanks.
further discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0. Chief Breton, what we love to say, introduction of a new officer.
Good morning again. We had the opportunity to hire an officer that had the academy. We've been waiting on the state quite a while to get his numbers back, so we did this a little bit out of the ordinary. We swore him in last Friday at the police station, but I wanted to bring him before the Board of Works and introduce him to everybody. Michael Lapelt. I'm come up and put him on the spot here.
Oh, it's still good. Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Let's say my name is Michael Lapelt, and I'm your newest officer. And I just want to thank you guys for accepting me into your city. So, you guys have any comments for me or anything?
Give us a little history, Michael.
Oh, history. Wow. Okay. I've got a long history.
Well, not that long. Where'd you come from? Where were you before?
I'm from the Wanatall area, so I went to Wanatall middle school, and then I went to Valparaiso for high school. I'm from this area, from LaPorte County. Went to Purdue University for almost 10 years. Too long, too much education. But anyway, a couple different careers, had a previous experience at another agency, and so I feel I can hit the ground running here and get on the road by myself and, give you guys the service you deserve. So.
Wonderful.
Oh, yeah, I was at Valparaiso Police
Oh,
Department.
we like that. That's even better.
It's a good place. I'm happy I'm here, though.
We're happy you're here, and we'll make sure Mayor Murphy's aware that you did come over here, Sue, as well, just to rub it in. But that's fantastic. We've got a great team here. So we are now staffed at 40.
We're at 43. We have to hire for Corporal Jackson.
Further questions?
What's the onboarding for somebody who doesn't have to go to the academy? Is there any kind of training or, kind of like orientation, or they're just like?
We shoved him right into field training. He's there now. Everybody just says, I'm gonna give him a big head here. Everybody's talking about how great he is, how we're gonna accelerate this, and we expect him on the street solo sooner than later.
That's fantastic. We're so happy to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks for coming. Welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you, Chief. Thank you, Assistant Chief Toady. I know that's him with hair now, so he may have gone unrecognizable.
I wondered who that. I actually wondered who that was.
I did too when he first walked in. It's discerning.
Great. Thank you. Be safe and keep us all protected.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Breton requests permission to have an auction.
Yeah, the only other thing is we have a huge stack of bicycles in our storage building. We didn't have the auction last year, obviously, because of COVID. I think with things, we're still in the orange, but I think if we start exploring this, just wanted permission to start exploring how to go about this. This would be open to all the other departments as well. I know we used to have it on Memorial Day weekend. I don't think that's a good idea, especially since I'm having my son's graduation party on that weekend. So we'll look for a time, sometime early summer, so we can get these bikes out.
So the auction will be open to other departments to auction other unnecessary equipment off? So
Right.
do we have to approve a list of those things, or how does that work?
I think
It's
we can
things
just
that are
have an
minimal?
open auction, correct?
We can, but I think it has to be declared that we're no longer using those items. You are correct, so.
So it's not something that would have been considered a fixed asset?
It could have if there's like a vehicle that would no longer in use, that they want to sell at an auction, that would be on our fixed asset.
So we'll have to do some type of inventory taking of all
Right,
those
what we
items.
normally do is the police department works with the clerk treasurer's office because we also have to be involved because it has to do with money.
Right.
And so we'll coordinate a date and then we'll let the board know the date. You do have to approve the contract for whoever the auctioneer is. And then we get it out to the departments, they get us a list, we get it to the auctioneer. I don't believe we've ever had the board approved what was being sold.
I'll get with you and just make sure we're handling it appropriately.
Yeah.
So do we need to then, like today, maybe approve the ability to have an auction?
Right.
And then if there's potentially a requirement for us to approve any particular pieces of, equipment, or especially if they're, fixed assets type of thing?
Right.
Okay.
Where's the auction usually held, Chief?
At the transport building.
Is it inside or out? A little
Inside.
both. I'm sorry?
Inside.
Inside?
So it's a rain or shine thing.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of a way maybe to, with COVID, of potentially having some of the items outside, maybe to spread people out. I don't know, we can visit that.
We'll have to look at that.
It's usually pretty spread. There's not a whole lot of people come. That's why I was hoping to actually get more if we don't have it on that weekend. People seem to travel out of town.
How many bicycles?
We're 100, 120 right now.
I mean, that's a lot of kids that could use a bike, and that's a good thing to be doing right now.
So initially I was thinking it was maybe bicycles that the department has used but it's just.
It's all recovered, abandoned bicycles.
Okay.
We have some other items in there that were recovered, found property, old snow blowers, things like that we don't use that have been stacking up.
What do we do with things that aren't sold at the auction?
Put them
Pretty
on
much
your
everything
front
usually
doorstep.
is. Yeah,
My front doorstep?
we take it to the mayor's house. He could use another.
Because we do
snowblower.
have some unused typewriters downstairs and so forth. Not to muddy the waters here, but sometimes I'm good at that. The bicycles, I mean, is there a giveaway program for kids that may need them, that can't afford a bike, but it would be, I mean, are these parts or are they bikes that
It's
kids
probably
can
a
ride?
combination of
Some of them
everything.
are pretty nice. Usually they're sold in lots of 4 or 5. We don't make that much on it. If we could do a giveaway, but we'd have to explore that.
I would say normally, the majority of the bikes go for like $5 a piece.
Okay.
There are some that are really nice bikes that could go for $75 or $100, but those would be top-notch bikes. But the majority of them are usually about $5 a piece.
We have done giveaways before when we've had a request. So we have in the past, and I can't put a year to it, there was maybe 3 years in a row, we had a request from an organization with Westville. Actually, they were with Westville School Corporation, and they were giving away bikes to children, mostly children whose parents were incarcerated. And we worked with them, and we did donate some bikes to that program, but we didn't seek it, they sought us, and we did make those donations. But like I said, that was several years ago, and it was because it was requested of us.
And that's basically what I have is bicycles. That's all I would have for the auction.
The school corporation, maybe certain schools, a Lincoln or, Riley may
I was kind of
have
thinking
some
through like how,
requests.
I mean, I know there's.
What about the Tour de la Porte, the whole tie-in with the bike ride and? Well, it's something to explore. Do you usually get rid of most all of it during the
Yes.
auction? Oh, you do, okay.
So
They'll clump a bunch together at the very end and they'll bring $2,
Just get rid-
$3 if
gotcha.
nobody's bidding on them.
So
I'd say it's not a huge money maker, and we usually include all the other departments because the auctioneer wants to make a little something too. And he's not making anything on $4 or $5 bikes.
And we want to clean up M Street anyway, as much as possible, availability on that room or space.
Where do the proceeds go? Is that like into the rainy day fund or?
Goes into the general fund, but if it would be, let's say, water would have a piece of equipment or an old vehicle that they're gonna get, then it would go to water. So whatever department, the bikes go into the general fund.
Okay.
So I do need a motion and a second.
So I move we approve the ability to have an auction. Is that
That's good.
complete?
Yeah, second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Chief. Jerry Jackson, Lakeside Sewer Relocation Pay Application number 3.
This is, Sellage Construction, this pay request, takes us to 42% of the project. There's definitely some challenges. Lately, we've been working with, getting homeowners to get their basement sump pumps and, dry systems disconnected from the sanitary sewer and going out in the yard like they, should be and by ordinance are required instead of connected to the sanitary system. But project's going, it's a complicated project going as well as can be expected. I'd recommend the board approve the pay request number 3. It's in the amount of $247,591.80.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
So just so the payment is for the portion of this that is already completed, right?
That's correct. They during the project, for each pay request, they say we've done so many grinder pumps, so many feet of sewer, and add up all those items and produce an incremental bill as we go along.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Tim Werner, test well proposal.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm just looking for approval from the board to for some test drilling in Soldier Memorial Park for the new wells that the city is in desperate need of. Last month, we presented this to the park board. They were totally on board with everything. Like I said, we're trying to drill two test holes to see if that area can sustain 2 wells that we ran into the Lake Street plant. Lake Street plant is in desperate need of a new water supply. Completing that work would also allow us to take plant 2 offline to be able to do the work that is needed inside plant 2. The reason that I brought this to you with no bids is that it's a service. It's not any new construction at this time. Basically, all they're going to do is drill 2 6-inch holes, do the proper sieve analysis, and then test for VOCs, IOCs, SOCs, and general water quality, along with ammonia, just to see if that area can handle 2 production wells. The total cost is right under $50,000, $48,000 and some change. If you look at the printout that I supplied with you, it'd be item number 1 or task 1. There's 4 different prices there for drilling the wells, install test pumps, some of the lab work, and then also meeting with representatives of the park and water department to stake off where the production wells would go out in Soldier Memorial Park. The last page has a map on it that kind of shows you the area that we're looking for, right around Lions Field, the parking lot for the boat launch, and then as you travel west, those of you familiar with the park where the old hand pump well was, that parking lot, a lot of guys use it for the bike trails now, park there. Basically, we're trying to stay along hard surfaced areas, parking lots. That way we don't have to get into the parkland at all. If these test wells do show favorable conditions for production wells, we will meet back with the park department and make sure that all the plans for the production of the wells, whether they're outbuildings, pitless adapters, or whatever needs to be done to make sure that the quality of the park isn't interrupted with our wells. If anybody would like to come out and see the wells we have out at the East Plant, they're nice block buildings, earth tone colors, pretty nice looking buildings. We do have to secure this site while this work is going on, and then once the wells are put in, they will have to be under lock and key. So security is of importance, but we want to make the the smallest footprint inside the park that we possibly can. So like I said, I'm just coming to the board to get approval for these test services and see if we can get some fresh water, some fresh new water coming into the water department here.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So
I'm
moved.
sorry, I do it, yes, I need a motion and a second.
Second.
Discussion?
Is it likely, I mean, as you're looking at this site, since we're spending about $45,000 just on testing, is that, I mean, is it considered a good site, a likely site? Do we have an idea or percentage of how likely it is that it will take place?
Yeah, we had, Todd Taylor before me had a study done. That area was highlighted in his study. I also had Peerless Midwest, who has an on-site hydrologist, look at the aquifer and the different sand and gravel makeups in that area. And another reason why we want to get to the west side of town is that's the side of town that has been impacted the least by industrial. So the amount of ground contamination will be minimal out that way. You know, there's no big water users out there for, basically it's all private wells, 4-inch or smaller in that area. Historically, we've always taken water from around the lakes. The 2 wells that we're replacing are actually around Lily Lake at this time. You know, and those lakes are all connected, so we don't see any problem. You know, people aren't gonna notice us dropping the lake level down is what I'm getting at. Stone Lake is called Stone Lake for a reason because of the stone and the formation that's around that area. So it is very favorable for us to put 2 production wells out there.
Further discussion?
Just, so I know you talked a little bit about the building, and I think we talked a little bit about this before. You might have even had some images you've shown of what it would look like, but just, can you give us remind us of a sense of like the size of the building?
The buildings we have now are about, I'm just gonna guess, 10 by 12, maybe 15 by 12. They're not very big buildings, just enough to hold the motor, the VFD, the dry components for the well, keep it inside, protected by the weather. Historically, we've had open wells out in the system. The motors don't do as good exposed to the weather conditions as they do when they're covered. Me personally, I used to maintain those motors and pumps, and there's quite a bit of difference in putting them inside buildings. I know at one time we were talking about some pitless adapters where you wouldn't see anything. Everything would be underground. I tend to not lean that way. It's more expensive when you have to work on these wells to get them cleaned, relined or anything like that. I would like to see buildings on them. And like I said, we would work with the park department and make sure that the park department and the park board are both okay with our well design and building design to leave the smallest footprint possibly inside our parks. And just a reminder to the board and the public, this isn't something that other communities do not do. You know, Mishawaka around their golf courses, some of their parks around the river, they have wells. It just makes sense. The city already owns that land. We don't have to purchase any new land. It's a very well-used practice from utilities to use parklands for wells.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Mary Ann Richards, approval for quotes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Our department is working on developing Tidman Bakery for affordable housing. And the next step in the job is to get a survey, and I've solicited 3 quotes. One from Hendricks, one from Kyle, and one from Global. Hendricks is $1,100, and Kyle and Global are both $1,500. So I'm recommending that the board accept the quote from Hendricks in the amount of $1,100 to do a survey of the Tidma Bakery property.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second discussion. Mary Ann, again, do we need a survey has been done in the past, correct?
Do not have a survey.
Okay. It's just such a long process as we prepare to have homes on,
Right.
but to have homes on this property, it's a slow process.
Right.
Other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
I was hoping for some other members to say, yeah, it's terrible. Let's get this thing
well,
moving.
you know,
You guys all went silent on me.
Having been someone who's bought a property and then when they did a survey to put a fence in, figured out like, oh, it's actually 3 feet over in both directions. So,
Yeah.
I guess we have to know
Neighbor's
exactly,
fence
right?
encroaches
Yeah.
on my property by 6 inches.
My neighbors didn't like that the fence landed right on their fire pit, but that's how it works,
It is
right?
what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Everybody
sorry,
has
Mayor.
to follow the rules.
I know. Yes, ma'am. All right, next, repair program quotes.
We, recently I did walkthroughs with contractors, and we've got 2 houses enrolled in the homeowner repair program. And I have, as I call it, the scorecard or the abstract of quotes sitting at your place setting. You want to start with electrical?
Well, I'm going to start with this one because it's not marked.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. This is for roofing. So we'll start there. Is that good?
That would be your last page of the packet.
Sorry. And this is from J&B West Roofing and Construction. And it is for 1503 East Lincoln Way and 913 Ridge Street.
Might be
And
the last page.
very last page,
The last yellow page.
$9,563.69. Do you want me to break them down by no, doesn't need to be, okay. So that was $9,563.69 from J&B West.
So each quote for the roofs will be for those 2 locations?
Right. I have them specified by address because I have to track it for HUD, but the total price is what Joni read.
Gotcha.
And I believe that's the only thing we have for roofing. So where do you want me to go next?
Electrical?
Electrical. We have 1 quote.
I did attempt to get more than 1 quote.
Able Safety Consulting, LLC. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's Paul Kroll Electric. $5,820. $5,820 from Paul Kroll Electric. Where am I going next?
General repairs?
General repairs, we have 1. This is Langley Construction, in an amount of $6,200. Langley Construction, $6,200. What do we have next?
Lead hazard.
Lead hazard. Also Langley Construction. $95,250. $95,250.
That's a home.
Yeah.
Bridge Street. 913.
And then the last one is for plumbing. And this is from SLR Plumbing Incorporated. $1,410. $1,410.
So I don't feel comfortable passing the $95,000 without more information. If you're comfortable, we could vote out the other smaller items.
Did we have a budget for?
Yes,
For the,
generally what we've done in the past is we open them, I take 2 weeks to review the quotes, and then come back at the next Board of Works meetings with a recommendation. What I'd like to do is have an opportunity to review the quote, and then make a recommendation either to accept it or throw it out
okay,
at the next Board of Works meeting.
okay, I like that.
So may I have a motion?
So moved.
There doesn't need to be any action technically taken.
Oh, there doesn't, okay.
Okay.
I would just really dial into that.
No.
Do
I think
you want a
do-
motion?
Yeah, I think
Just
we
to-
do a motion to
For
recommend
review
for
of the-
review and
Okay.
report back to.
I made a motion.
Do I have a second?
Basically to review and report back.
To
Okay.
review and then
Brought
have her
back.
bring back,
Recommendation.
her
I
suggestion.
have a motion and a second. And total, how much is in the budget for the homeowner repair?
75,000,
75,000? Oh,
Right now
yes,
for,
for these 2 houses.
but total is only 75,000 for the homeowner
For
program.
the homeowner repair program. For the whole program, I want to say 468,000 maybe.
But for the homeowner portion total, not just for these houses, is 75,000.
That's 75,000 just for these 2 houses.
Correct.
that's what we budgeted to spend
Right.
on them. And they don't have any, it's not like an 80-20, they don't put in
No.
any,
There's no match.
no match or,
And we have 75,000. We haven't spent any of it yet.
Right, we have not spent any of it yet.
yeah, that lead hazard isn't,
It's a needy house with a lot of lead, but I have never spent that kind of money in lead hazard remediation in the 16 years that we've been doing that.
So it sounds like your gut feeling is generally that that amount is kind of way out of line even for what it would likely need.
Yeah, I want to look at the quote and see, and talk to the contractor and find out what's going on. Why it's so much higher than,
I mean, you could buy a new
Previous
house
year.
for that.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
exactly.
At
Yeah,
what point
we
do you
could
just say,
demolish it
yeah,
and
we
put
demolish
a
it and we'll,
manufactured home on the lot for that.
Okay.
As well, I'm just also concerned, I know you're getting, or you're asking for more than one bid, but the singular
get
bid
any.
per item is a little bit of a struggle without being more competitive, so.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like, I mean, just in trying to personally do a couple things, it's very challenging to find anyone kind of interested.
Well, and the problem with lead hazard is we have to have a contractor that's certified as a lead contractor from the State Board of Health. And there's not very many in Northwest Indiana. And I did contact Michigan City to see who they used. They used Langley Construction and another contractor who I included in the quoting process. And I contacted Gary, East Chicago, Hammond, and South Bend to see who they used. And I did not get any response from those communities. I called other CDBG entitlement communities to get additional resources. I went to the state website, and there's just not that many.
So, and Marianne and I have had this conversation a few times. Even though she's wearing a SOX mask, we're on the same page there. But let me ask you this: if we said we're going to take that $75,000, because we're going to help right now 2 families or 2 homes.
Correct.
And said we want to use that $75,000 instead to buy a home or to do something else to maximize or to leverage that money for a home to help another family that's looking for housing. Is that an option?
Not in this owner-occupied rehab program. I would have to retool the entire budget and do a substantial amendment, advertise it, do a public hearing, do a reallocation of funds with the city in the budget process, or another additional appropriation to change the budget. It would be time-consuming.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance, maybe in December, but we can't use CDBG funds for new construction.
Or current
For new.
housing?
She's saying these are for owner-occupied homes.
This is for
This is
owner-occupied rehab.
Specifically,
And if you dissolve the owner-occupied rehab, then the rehab administration portion of the program goes by the wayside, and my job is gone because I use CDBG administrative funds as well as rehab admin to cover the overhead for the CDBG program. This program is not funded at all through the general fund.
Right. I just am concerned the lack of, with due respect to you and the hard work, and we've talked about it, the lack of impact we're making with these dollars to really address housing needs that are so desperate in our community. So,
you want the biggest bang for your buck.
yes. So we do have a motion and a second. Further discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor to bring it back for approval a couple weeks, or by the next meeting, is that fair?
Next meeting.
Perfect. All in favor, state by saying aye.
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 Aye, opposed, 3-0. Thank you,
Thank
Mary Ann.
you.
Mike Fraze, approval of purchase of Crumb Rubber. We do not have anything on this, so if you could share, Michael.
We get approved, it's approved for a chrome rubber, it's crack seal that we do our crack sealing. It's for a half a semi-load, which I do every 2 years. And for the total price is, $11,700 plus freight.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
What is this?
I have a motion and a second. So Mike, the Crumb Rubber, are you getting it local? Because I know there are some Crumb Rubber manufacturers locally or near us in LaPorte. I mean, in South Bend and so forth.
This is off the state, I believe it's on the state QPA where we get it from.
And was this for the total patch or the cold?
This is for chrome rubber, it's not nothing to do with the total patch. This is chrome rubber where we go out and seal the cracks by hand.
So crack and seal.
Is this the actual product or a machine? The product?
This is the product. Mike, can you explain the process?
Like we pick 2 to 3 years old roads that's been repaved, and we'll go out and crack the seal. We'll blow out the cracks, and we take this machine and puts tar down in the cracks so it prevents water getting down in there.
And do we get this from, I know it's on the state bid, but is it a crumb rubber supplier, or does the state have it housed for you?
Do what now?
Does the state have this crumb rubber and you're pulling from their inventory, or is it a supplier that you're pulling the crumb rubber from?
It's a supplier that they use. It's they bid out so much.
Okay.
Go through on QPA, what they've done all the bidding on it and stuff. You know, we go off the QPA of their material. We get it at their price.
And how long will this, I mean, I assume we'll go through this more if we're crack and sealing more. How long do you expect this to last, this half semi?
Usually it takes me, I gotta order it every 2 years. It all depends how bad the roads are.
Are the costs
We didn't purchase none last year. It was the year before when we purchased it.
Are the costs of these types of materials going up dramatically like the cost of other materials are, like lumber and plywood, stone, concrete?
Mike, did you, are the costs going up on crumb rubber like they are in other building materials?
No, this is the same price as 2 years ago because it's on the QPA. They bid it out every so often.
But this crumb rubber is more for roads that have been repaved and to keep them in good condition. It's not going after the older roads that need help.
Right, it's for the newer roads.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Mike. And just because he's such a nice guy, we always make Nick last, and he's willing to wait.
Appreciate it, thank you. It helps me build patience. The first item I have on the agenda for the board is a professional services contract with VS Engineering. VS has an office here in LaPorte. They've kind of been working with us to find the right project, and this is actually a project that fits a lot of their specialty areas. This is a preliminary engineer's report for the Weller Bridge. As you all know, we've had some issues with blockages, and just looking at the age and looking at that bridge, we really need to start considering what we do with that bridge, and that's what this professional service contract would be for. Again, it's for VS Engineering, a total of $22,600. It's a preliminary engineer's report where they'll look at the existing conditions of the bridge and then look at what options we have. Excuse me, what options we have with that bridge. It is lump sum. They also will look at utilities adjacent. So one of the biggest issues with this bridge is probably going to be the adjacent utilities and how those are managed as well. Because of that, always looking, where we pull the funds from something like this, and Jerry Jackson with stormwater utility and with wastewater has agreed to actually fund this study. So,
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'd also like to say it's great to see new companies, local companies, and that's a good thing here, so good work there. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
the next item you have is another professional service agreement. This one is with United Consulting. United Consulting, again, they have local staff. Terry Minix was here earlier, and he, no relation, spelled differently. He's local and has kind of been working with us to figure out, again, we want to make sure we're using the right firms to make sure we're we're not wasting time and they're not wasting time, and we can be successful. You know, our consultants are successful when we're successful, in my opinion, and kind of vice versa. So we had submitted a grant to NERC earlier in the year for emergency vehicle preemption. This was associated with the new fire station on the east side. That grant was to add preemption, which is essentially allowing for the fire engines to have the signals change as they approach them. That project was going to be for the two intersections really impacting the fire station, so Scott Street and Boston Street. In a rare change of events, NERC said, you guys didn't ask for enough. So what we've done is work with NERC, and we're actually looking at expanding the program, but doing it in a later year. We don't want our fire department to have to wait for this preemption until we can get the federal dollars to pay for it. The federal dollars are 90-10 because it's HSIP, so it's safety related. It's really exciting that we're able to do this. One of the things that complicated is we do want to get some of it done sooner. So what we have is a general services agreement with United Consulting, and this is something that they have done. They've done these in other communities. And then we have a locally funded portion, which is to do all the design and upfront work for the first two intersections, and that's $18,200. And then we're looking at, hopefully we're working it out with NERC, the ability to have the design for the federally funded portion funded at 100%, so we don't actually pay any of that. So there is a small amount, about $60,000 for our Group 2 funds that can be given out at 100% instead of 90-10 too. So we're trying to maximize federal dollars, but also trying to make sure that we're, putting in the preemption as quickly as we can.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. And Nick, this is the first light would be at Al's, Walgreens,
Yeah.
Al's, I forget where.
Yep, Boston
Logan
Street.
is. Boston, yes. I should know.
And then where the fire station is, they also will take North Street and enter Lincoln Way if they're responding kind of to the west at Scott Street. So it would be for both intersections.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Oh, yeah, so I still try to get my arms around exactly. So obviously, like the emergency vehicle preemption, totally understand what that is with this. So what are we contracting with United to create the preemption at those intersections?
To do the design work for the preemption. at those
Design work for the
intersections.
preemption. Okay.
And so what's necessary is we have to have an agreement with INDOT because those are their signals, and then we actually have to design kind of the components and then get the equipment kind of ready to go, more or less. And then the equipment would be bid separately. Another reason to break this up is we want to make sure we're getting the right equipment. So the equipment that we're looking at is a GPS-based preemption system, which is kind of the next level. So it's always been line of sight. So you kind of see on signals sometimes kind of how things are aligned, and you see the little extra attachment, and that's for a fire engine. Once it's coming in, there's a line of sight infrared connection to say, okay, change.
Okay.
Well, these are all GPS based, so it doesn't matter if the fire truck's around the corner. It doesn't matter where the fire truck is. It's not based on line of sight. As we expand this system, you can expand this system to ambulances. So Andy Snyder is going to work with the county on talking to EMS. You can do quite a bit with this. There's some communities that actually use this in their plow trucks. I think it's in Wisconsin or Minnesota. They found they can be about 20% more efficient on fuel by having preemption in their plow trucks. So there's a lot of things we can do better, and this is just one of those technologies that's going to help us do that.
Okay.
So each task order would come up separately as far as this is the design, then the construction, then et cetera, correct?
Yeah, so
Okay.
what you have is a general services agreement and then a task order. So
Are we approving both
I
the
would
agreement
recommend
and the
approve-
task order for number one?
I would approve both. We have to do the general services, and then the task order is for that first design phase. Assuming we get the federal dollars, we would go through the federal RFP process. So, we have this and we can continue to use it, but the federal RFP process would supersede that. But having the general services also helps if we find other opportunities where United could be helpful for our community.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
So unfinished business. I would just like to, again, encourage everybody with needing a vaccination. We have arms, we have availability. We can get people turned around very quick. You just private message me on Facebook, call Annette or myself, 362-0151. And let's get over this because we're not headed in the right direction. So, any other comments?
Along those lines, I've been to the fairgrounds twice for my 2 doses, and honestly, I don't think it could have been any more efficient than it was.
The county deserves some support there. They have done a great job, and we acknowledge how well they've handled it. They're doing great work. I see Nate Laux is here. I wasn't sure if we were doing sound off after Board of Works or something publicly.
My disappointed face back here in my mask.
All right. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We are adjourned. Thank you.